Spurs go back to the Alamodome, and it was just a fantastic night.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to this special episode of Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, live from the Alamodome in San Antonio, where the Spurs just finished their game versus the Golden State Warriors in a game that really didn't matter when it comes to the scoreboard, because it was really just a celebration of the Spurs, their history, their franchise, going back to their old stomping grounds for the first time in quite some time as they lost to the Golden State Warriors. But again, it really wasn't about the game. It was just about a celebration. I'm joined by my colleague over at Kens5.com. He is Tom Petrini, rocking the Fiesta colored sneakers. I'm a little jealous.
Had to, man. I mean, you know,
I'm a little jealous.
It's not. It doesn't say Spurs anywhere on it. They're my jacket, so I'm not. I'm not being inappropriate. I'm just wearing proper colors. And one thing that I think unintentionally you may have missed was the fans. I mean, this was a celebration of, by, and for the fans of the San Antonio Spurs, and you felt it just like walking through the parking lot.
You did.
You know, I mean,
Pre-game, yeah.
I was walking up, and there was a little Spurs Twitter tailgate.
Yeah, tailgating,
in
right?
Lot C, and they're playing Selena and cooking some brisket, and we're about to watch a basketball game. And I was like, only in San Antonio, Texas, will you see this? And David Robinson came out before the fourth quarter, announced the final attendance at 68,323.
It's a lot of people.
Shatters the old record by about 6,000. And, I mean, something that I'll never forget about this game, you mentioned the game itself wasn't all that important, and it wasn't. And proof of that, for me, is that in the fourth quarter, when the Spurs were down about 30, and this was not like a Golden State crowd. Definitely some Warriors fans showed up, a lot of Steph Curry jerseys, a lot of people who were here to see him. But they were very well outnumbered, and with the home team down about 30, there was the biggest wave I've ever seen.
Yes, the wave was fun.
And it lasted for like 5 minutes.
I took part in it.
It was, I mean, it just kept going. And like you could tell, that to me was proof that this was just a huge party for all of the Spurs fans who came out. And I mean, this is a 6:30 tip on a Friday. Had to get all of these people in here. There was a lot of traffic. Some people took time off work. And just talking to the people out here, how much this place means, how much this team means to this community. It was really apparent, and it was really beautiful.
Shout out Spurs. What they did to bring back the nostalgia was just awesome. From the river barges that they used in the 1999 Championship River Parade, to the titles themselves, to the decorations, the tribal figures.
They brought in tag team, for Christ's sake.
They brought in tag team, which everybody would...
dude.
Yeah. And by the way, they did mention the scoop. There it is.
Yeah, no.
They did say scoop. There it is.
I was talking to someone in the parking lot, and they were like, I hope they do the ice cream version, too.
Yeah.
And they did. They threw
did.
the verse. I was thinking about it, because I was like, yeah, tag team's got Whoop, There It Is, but like, what else are they going to perform? And then I realized that they only have to perform Whoop, There It Is, one, because it's Whoop, There It Is, two, because it's a 1990s rap song, which means there's an intro and an outro where they introduce themselves by name, and there's like 6 verses. So like, it's a long song. Like by the end of it, everyone was like, okay, there it is. Yeah. We're good. We got it.
We got it. Yeah.
But it was a blast.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. It was every moment of this game was joy for the fans and shared joy. Yeah. And that's some of my favorite stuff to be a part of, is when it's a huge amount of people getting together and just, having fun doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing some fireworks at Tower of the American Party still going.
Yeah, if you hear popping in the background, it's the fireworks. Hey, but from Popovich to me to you to Doug McDermott and everybody in between, what about that fan-like show to bring in?
Oh, that was great.
That was incredible. So for those of you who don't know, fans entering the Alamodome were giving Fiesta color lenses for their cell phones. You slap that on your lens, turn on your light, and they were instructed to move it up and down.
Yeah.
And then to me, that was my favorite moment of the night.
It was. I got a great video up on Twitter, and the light show is something Pop was talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was cool, and it felt like it was breathing, you know, like the stadium was breathing, and all the people in it were breathing together, and like just it went faster, and you could feel the people getting pumped up. Doug McDermott said starting lineups after that was like one of the coolest things that he's ever experienced.
And for Pop to even say that was good. He kept on saying when they turned on their matches.
Yeah.
They put on
Super
their matches
old school,
or something like that. Yeah. But, you know, Tom, I look back, and this night will go down to the record books. You mentioned the attendance thing as well. But for some of these younger players and younger generation Spurs fans who didn't get to experience an Alamodome game, and Mr. Make it very clear, it wasn't an exact duplicate of the 90s. It wasn't a half dome. The infamous blue curtain wasn't there.
Right.
So, but nevertheless, for somebody who experienced that, you know what got me going? Was y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
That
old school
song
intro
really brought back. I'm in a wave of nostalgia. Hit me hard because I can remember those days in the Alamodome. And here's a funny thing: fans back then, including myself, every time that song came on, we all went, "Not again."
Right.
Not again. Change it up. Change it up. And here I am, decades later, like, it's back, baby.
Enough time has passed where there's the nostalgia element. I think it's funny you and me sitting here because, I mean, I never went to a game at the Alamodome. Yeah. And you're obviously very different. But, you know, talking to people throughout the night, I talked to, you know, people who saw the Memorial Day Miracle firsthand. And I talked to people who weren't even alive the last time the Spurs played in this dome. And all of them were excited to come here and be part of this historic communal celebration of not just the Spurs being here for 50 years, but the support from the fans and the community of the fans. That's something that Trey Jones was talking about post-game, and he gave the pregame speech and said he was probably more nervous for that than he was for any basketball game that he's ever played in. And he said he was talking to his teammates about how he thinks San Antonio is the only NBA city that could do this, and about how fortunate the team feels to have the support of the fans, especially in a year like this where they're not winning as much as they want to be winning. And they got almost 70,000 people out here tonight. It was really cool to see. And obviously this has been a point of emphasis for the organization. You know, they pulled out all the stops.
Yes, they did.
But they got it done, and they put on a hell of an event tonight. And I mean, really, history. Like, this is something that the last time there were this many people in the same building, or even close to this many people, was 25 years ago to see the Last Dance Bowls. Yeah. You know, like, and definitely a bit of a Steph Curry bump. You know, when I saw that he was going to be healthy, I was excited. I was like, definitely going to sell some more tickets now. But I mean, really, like, I was honestly surprised at how Spurs heavy the crowd was.
There were a good handful of Warriors fans. There were. You heard them, but you're right.
You definitely heard them in here, but like, with the crowd as big as it was, you could have an entire AT&T Center crowd of Warriors fans in here, and they'd still be severely outnumbered.
Exactly.
And I actually saw a little kid in a in a Steph jersey in the parking lot get politely heckled.
Yeah.
Which was very funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Again, a great night here at the Alamodome. Once again, you're listening to Locked On Spurs here on the Locked On NBA Network, as well as on KENS5.com/Spurs. I'm joined by my colleague, Tom Petrini. Follow him on Twitter at RealTomPetrini. And follow me on Twitter at Jeff G. Spurs Zone Y, so you can see the shoes that I talked about, beginning of the shoe that Tom was wearing tonight at the Alamodome. He's flexing them for me right now. Pink laces. What does he got? You got the aqua, the teal, the white.
Man.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I like colors, man, and we saw a lot of beautiful colors tonight. Everybody got their most Fiesta clothes out.
And I want to say your hat looks very 90s too.
It is.
It's a very 90s hat.
It's Fiesta Texas.
Oh my God! Look at that.
But yeah, I mean, it was a celebration. It was nostalgia. It was,
it lived up to what the hype was, in my opinion, as far as the vibe. Now on the court, I think coming into it, everybody knew, what the likely outcome was going to be.
Right.
Regardless if it was a close game or a big game, as we saw, or the Spurs were lopsided on the wrong end of the scoreboard. You knew that, but still. I think there was a point during the game where fans were even probably tuning out the game, and it felt like the city was having a reunion party.
Yeah.
In the dome.
Yeah, it's a family reunion with 70,000.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
it felt like. And by the way, shout out to the Spurs again, because those SRO tickets, the Sandy Ramone tickets.
Yeah.
If you bought them, you had a nice setup because they put you on the floor, and everybody knows that it's the floor, but it was. Like, not center court, but behind the
they had
basket.
a decent view.
Decent view. Their own bar tables and stools and their own concession stands. And so, way to go, Spurs.
You know what? That touches on something that I think is another really special, important part of tonight. Just like spiritually what it meant for Spurs fans and the connection to what this building was for this franchise. I mean, back in the day, like, they'd have a big game and open up the top deck and sell those tickets for like $2.
Right. Yep.
And it was like promotional partners were involved, right? But it was something that, for a lot of working families didn't have a lot of money to come out to a game.
Right.
Could do that.
Yeah.
If you were a kid in high school, you didn't have to, pay some crazy amount of money to come out and see a game. And, the community tickets, I talked to people who waited in line for $10 tickets.
Wow.
And, I think that's just a really special thing and just the spirit of what the Alamodome is for Spurs fans.
It is, yeah. And like I said, for me, who hasn't been here to see a Spurs game in quite some time, it brought back memories. It brought back memories of me as a kid, me being here for the '99 celebration, the title. I wish I got a chance to ask Steve Kerr if he was going to rock the tilted cap and bling, because at the '99 title championship celebration of the Dome, they got him to tilt his cap and show off all his rings.
Kirk Cousins style.
Yeah, at that time. And I wish I had that opportunity for him. But the Dome had the legends. David Robinson, you mentioned. Tony Parker was in the house. Monta Ginobili was here.
Yep.
Avery Johnson showed up. Sean Elliott staple doing his color commentary. And kudos to the Spurs fans. They gave Steve Kerr a big applause when they introduced him.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you could actually see on his face, they had a close-up on his face, and, he's getting a huge standing ovation from Spurs fans, and he turns to somebody and goes, "It's loud." you could read his lips, just those two words, "It's loud," and it was loud in here. The crowd pops when something big happened were fun. You mentioned the fans kind of tuning things out. At one point in the third quarter, though, Spurs cut this to like 6 points.
Kind of interesting.
And
for a hot second,
so they were in it for a second, and then there was an avalanche.
Yes. Yeah. See, the Avalanche is bringing back bad memories for Tom right now. He thought the Spurs were going to cap off the game with a win here at the Dome. But nevertheless, Tom, you know what? Yeah, you're right. The Warriors saw their lead kind of dwindle down in that third.
And this is a team that struggled on the road.
Right.
they
losing streak coming in, all that
they
stuff.
haven't been themselves, and you wondered how they would perform in a game like this with the crowd. They performed well.
Yeah, they really did. I'm starting to wonder, with the success that this dome game had, do you think this will become a staple moving forward?
I don't know.
Maybe not the 68,000, but perhaps a real dome experience back in the 90s. Cut it in half.
Yeah. I could see it being done because, this was, by all accounts, a really big success.
It was, yeah.
But the question is, can you do it when you're not celebrating 50 years?
Right.
What's the draw to get all of these people in?
Yeah.
And, do you just do it on a night where you've got a big opponent coming to town?
Right.
And that's kind of how they did it back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. That's when they would open up the top deck.
Yeah. They used to have these big curtains that would block off the upper deck. But if it was a big, like your Bulls of the 90s, your Pistons of the 90s, they would open up. But I think it could happen. I think, again, not perhaps what we saw the entire dome, but a piece, like back in the day. I definitely think that could happen. The city definitely shows out for these type of events. And the city proved once again, through thick and thin, they're with the silver and black. No matter what. Sure, they bicker on social media. Yeah, there's Team Tank, and then there's Team Compete, and then there's Team Play-In. But at the end of the day, what we saw tonight at the Alamodome was the Spurs family coming together.
Yeah, and just a ton of fun, man. And
It was.
I don't know. I've been a sports fan since I was a little kid, and some of the best memories that I have are going to big games with my dad, with my friends, and just being in the building for a big moment, and that's what 68,000 plus people walked out of here with tonight is an experience that they get to take with them for the rest of their lives. It didn't go so hot for the home team,
Sure.
but that'll happen.
Yeah, and the players afterwards, or Pop, you could tell they weren't too bothered by the loss. I think they focused on what mattered, that was the fans tonight. And speaking of Popovich, I spoke to him pregame. You were with me at that conference, and I asked him, any flood memories back? Thinking of in-game moments, and I even mentioned the 99 title to him. Yeah. And although he did admit that was fun. He did say that was fun. Yeah, he said that was fun. But interestingly enough, Tom, I'm going to get your thoughts on this. He said it's not about those on-court moments. It was about the relationships that developed from the Alamodome that carried on, and he mentioned Steve Kerr and Avery Johnson.
Right. And, we know that's kind of how Pop is, right? And he's always going to be talking about how there's stuff that's bigger than basketball. And it felt like tonight we witnessed one of those things, and, we had Trey Jones had his daughter in the house. Right. Keldon was here with his mom, whose birthday it is. Yeah. Also my mom's birthday. Oh, Happy birthday, Mom.
Shout out Petrini, Mom.
I know she's listening to all of these podcasts.
Of course she is. Of course she is.
But, you think about what it means for the players, who all talked about how cool it was to be a part of something like this. And they've been...
Well, you asked Keldon that. Remember about being the center of the event.
Yeah, no, he mentioned looking around at one point and being like, man, all of these people are here to see us. Which has got to just be like a really cool feeling. And he basically said, I try not to think about being the center of attention and just go out and do my job. But still, he was like pretty speakless.
He even said the word speechless too. Yeah,
about just the atmosphere and what we saw tonight.
Yeah.
I love moments like these. I love being a witness to and a part of history. Yeah. I mean, and that's what was sold, and that was that's what was delivered tonight. Just really fun.
Give me your top 2 moments from the Alamodome game.
It's a good question. I think the opening is something I'll remember for a long time.
Yeah, that was nice.
Because, unlike the Alamodome pregame that resulted in pyro going off and water cannons.
Yeah, that did not happen, everybody. No water cannon incidents.
But that was like, we're putting on an event. And what was cool and special about this was it's 70,000 people doing that.
Yeah.
And so that was a really cool moment. And I mean, on the court, there were a couple of things, there was a nice little Sohan dunk. Mm-hmm. We saw Steph Curry do his thing, but really it was Golden State's bench that was, propelled them to this win.
Poole, Lamb, they all did a good job.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo was great.
Something about the Dome, him playing in the Dome back in his college days till now. Yeah, he loves playing in the Dome.
But I'm gonna think about that wave. I'm gonna think about
the wave. Yeah,
the food in the parking lot. I'm gonna think about all of these people that came here tonight and just had a really good time.
For me, I'm gonna definitely go with the fan light show with the cell phones. That was something I've never seen before. I thought that was incredible. Second for me was finding out the real quote-unquote reason why the water cannon went out back in the day. So the mystery for me has, even though I know it was the fireworks, but apparently it was the coyote and his candle making. That did it.
I don't know about that one. Yeah, they had a whole bit about how back in '94 Coyote was making candles with gasoline, and that does sound like Coyote, but I don't know. I'm not buying it.
But speaking of the water cannon, you know what I really was hoping for? Blue confetti to be showered at the end. Kind of just to simulate the water cannon. And it'll be weird because they lose in the confetti, but I think you would have to, maybe the announcer would have to explain it out.
Why go with confetti? Why not just douse everybody in stanky water like the old days?
No, I went through that. I wouldn't want to ever go through that. Although I did not
there for that game?
I didn't get wet.
Okay.
I was in a different section, but I saw it. I do remember.
Did you smell it?
It smelled bad. It smelled bad. And what surprised me is that the game was going on, continuing.
Yeah.
It was a long delay, but they forged ahead.
Don't have a lot of rain delays for indoor stadiums.
No, exactly. No, and then, just for me, just as somebody who experienced the real OG Alamodome experience, and to get to see it now in this configuration, so I can add that to my oldness belt. Like, I seen the Spurs play in the Dome half and full now. So I think that was a nice moment for me.
It's funny for me because I was here a couple weeks ago for the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm looking around, go down to field level, look around, look up. And I just kept thinking, like, holy crap, they're going to have a basketball game here.
Yeah.
Like, where half court is where the 50 is. Like, that's insane.
Crazy, right?
And I said the same thing the first time I went to the Moody Center for totally different reason. I mean, that's like the Moody Center in Austin is like an intimate concert venue almost.
Yeah.
It's like I think they can get like maybe 15,000, 16,000 in there for a basketball game. And I was looking around, I'm like, man, the Spurs are going to play in here. That's so weird.
Yeah.
And I felt the same thing coming in here. And, yeah, man, seeing the court set up like this, before the game, when we went down there and, just saw, and just think about what went into putting this together.
Oh, yeah.
This has been the centerpiece of Spurs marketing, PR,
everything,
operations. Mm-hmm. Like this is their Super Bowl for the year.
It was, yeah.
In terms of event planning. Mm-hmm. And, hats off, kudos to everybody who was a part of this. And kudos to everybody who came out. In the parking lot, I ran into a fan. Her name's Alyssa. She had dyed her hair like a couple of days ago. Did the
Sohan thing?
Fiesta, sherbet deal. Those are the kind of memories that were made tonight, and that's what this game was for.
Right. Yeah.
It was for people coming together with their favorite team and with many, many thousand people who it's also their favorite team.
Exactly.
And just really, really cool to see.
It was.
It's still loud. There's a lot going on here still. People are packing things up.
Yeah, they're gonna have to break this down quick. They may kick us out soon too. But yeah, it was a great night here at the Alamodome. Tom's gonna have an article up from the fan point of view. I think the fan experience. Yeah, so you definitely check that out at kensfi.com/Spurs. Coming out by the time you listen to this. So
for sure,
should be out in the morning.
I'll have it done by the end of the night.
All right. Either way, it'll be there whether it's before this or after this episode of Locked On Spurs, and the Spurs will get back in action. The time you're listening to this, so Sunday night versus the Kings. By the way, the Spurs didn't know that they still have a game coming up. They made it very clear about that.
Right.
Keldon and Pop said, they got business to handle tomorrow night at the AT&T Center. But once again, this is Locked On Spurs here at the Alamodome. The conclusion of the Back to the Dome, the Spurs highlight of this season. And yeah, we'll be back here at Locked On Spurs beginning on Monday, covering your silver and black. And for Tom Petrini, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode from the Alamodome of Locked On Spurs.